Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the I.R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show with your host, Minister and Beth. And you're listening to it on the WIN Network. Yes, that's right, WIN Network. Together, we win. Stay tuned. Happy bound, afraid to let it out. Shackles, and chains, the hurt, the guilt, the stain. I'm more than a conqueror. I'm more than a victim. I fight, I win. The chains are broken. 'Cause I reign, you reign, we reign, he reigns. I reign, we reign together, together. I reign, you reign, we reign, he reigns. I reign, we reign together, together. I reign, you reign, we reign, he reigns. I reign, we reign together, together. Say it. I reign, you reign, we reign, he reigns. I reign, we reign together, 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 together.
Hey, I reign, you reign, he reigns. We reign together. I love that song. I tell you, I'm in here just jamming and grooving. Anyway, good evening. Welcome to I.R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show. I am your host, Minister Annie Bell. I actually created the show, I.R.E.I.G.N, which is an outreach of Wealth Management Ministries Incorporated, and we endeavor to bring talk therapy to survivors of child abuse, sex trafficking, and other traumas, as well as providing awareness, prevention, and resources to the community. As you know, January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and we are continuing efforts to discuss topics relative to sex trafficking. So tonight, though, we are dedicating this episode to the life and memory of P.E.A.R.L Marie Gunning. Now, last Tuesday, I interviewed Raymond Bouchard, who trains the FBI, other law enforcement agencies. He writes to make changes in legislation to advocate for victims of sex trafficking, as well as engage in operations to rescue victims from sex trafficking. P.E.A.R.L Marie Gunning was one of those victims that he was instrumental in rescuing. But on Wednesday, January 11th, P.E.A.R.L Marie had passed at the age of 34. And I'm going to just read part of her obituary because I want you to know her. I want you to know about her and what she stood for. It's very touching. But she passed away at home unexpectedly, born May 31st, 1982, in Hartford, Connecticut. She lived most of her life in Newington, where she attended school and received her associate's degree in marketing. And P.E.A.R.L worked as an exceptionally talented dental lab technician at various area labs. She also served customers with her infectious smile and laughter at many restaurants in Connecticut. P.E.A.R.L loved animals, listening to her music, as well as being very creative, always finding solace in arts and crafts. Most of all, she loved people, especially those who needed her unique ability and passion for offering a helping hand. P.E.A.R.L always lent an ear to family, friends, and strangers. Turning someone's tears to laughter was her special magic. As a courageous and compassionate advocate for human trafficking victims, P.E.A.R.L assisted and saved countless lives over the past several years. Elected officials often credited her with the passage of important trafficking legislation through her brave testimony, public testimony, and sacrificial efforts. Her dream was to become a psychologist and dedicate her life to helping women escape their personal traumas. She was a survivor of sex trafficking. She was an advocate. And tonight, we're going to dedicate this show to her memory. And we're going to take just a moment of silence to honor her work, her dedication, and her love for God's people. So if we could just be silent for just a moment. Thank you so much for the silence and joining me in that moment of silence to honor her. K-Tel, just want to tell you that we are not going to allow your death to be in vain. We, people who are out here working and advocating, we shall take up the torch and keep fighting to save people from this inhumane industry called sex trafficking. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to do that. That was a bit emotional for me because I don't know K-Tel personally, but I know the pain that she must have gone through, the suffering that she felt, the times of loneliness and weariness that she felt, how she felt as an advocate out there trying to save lives and rescue people. So I just really just connected with her in that spirit. So, but tonight, as we continue on with our reporting, I have a special guest who is just absolutely dynamic. The very first meeting we had, we hit it off. I mean, I scheduled our meeting to just be 1 hour, but it turned out to be 3. She has a love for people and a passion to help people. She is a life coach and a founder of an organization, as well as a host of her own radio show. And guess what? She's actually on our network. So without further ado, please welcome to our virtual studio, Harralyn Swinger Rawls. Welcome to the show. Harralyn, are you there? Okay, we seem to be having a little bit of technical difficulties. Her phone, I believe, has got some interference, but hold on for just a moment.
Can you hear me?
Harralyn, hey, okay,
yeah,
we can hear you now. Yes. Hallelujah.
Okay. I don't know what happened. It just shut off.
That's all right, because you know me, I was about to go straight into prayer war. I was about to get up in there on my knees and be like, Lord, I bind
right. Right.
Well,
we are not
going to
let the enemy steal this. No.
And that's right. He ain't going to do it.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so welcome to the show, Harralyn. I really appreciate you taking the time out to be with us. I know you are a very, very busy person, and so I count it an honor.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate the invitation. And I'm trying to figure out, I want to meet this lady who you introduced. I want to meet her. I said, wait a minute, that can't be me she's talking about. Oh, my God, you make me feel so special. Thank you for that introduction. Oh my goodness, you making me put in some work. Oh, wow. I thank God that you saw that in me and that you felt that way about me. That's a blessing. I appreciate it.
Definitely. Look, I try not to hang around people who don't pull me up. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm trying to go higher. Hallelujah. And so I appreciate what, and the Bible says that iron sharpeneth iron. So I believe that's what you are in my life. And so we're going to keep on doing that. Could you, I want the listeners to get to know you, who you are. So tell us about yourself. Are you married? Are you single? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am fabulously 43. Yes, I'm fabulously 43. And I am married to an awesome man of God, Reverend James Rawls. Collectively, I only birthed 2 children, but we have 6 children. And we have some grandchildren and a host of godchildren. I have 3 siblings, both of my parents, awesome parents. Harralyn Swinger and Joanne Swinger, Reverend Harralyn Swinger and Sister Joanne Swinger. And so they are some of my biggest inspirations. I am an empowerment speaker. I am a certified life coach and business consultant. I am a survivor of domestic violence, abuse, and sex trafficking. I am a co-founder of Fellowship Community Outreach. And in Fellowship Community Outreach, we have two different smaller organizations that is SAVED, Survivors Against Violence, Empower, and Determined. And that is for our domestic violence, sex trafficking, and child abuse and sexual abuse. And we have Invisibly Disabled Butterfly Angels. And that is our health awareness piece. So helping people overcome, deal with life that have health challenges. In other words, making life happen for them instead of happen to them. So that's our motto for that one.
Wow, well, that's wonderful. And what I would like to do is give you some time in the end to, talk a little bit about what you do within your organization, and because it's powerful. Like you said, you are a survivor, and you didn't just crawl under a rock after surviving your trauma. You thrived and you lived, and so that's so very important, and I applaud you for that. So could you share with us a little bit about who was your abuser, and how old were you when you were being abused as a child?
My abuser, I happened to be about 6 years old, and I remember it was a family member. I carried that secret for years, and I actually finally told my parents in my 30s.
Oh my God!
Something was wrong, and notice how the person acts around me, and still to this day, this person wouldn't see me to this very day. They don't come around. So I don't remember a lot about the actual act. I do remember bits and pieces of it. It was so traumatic for me. There were certain blocks that I kind of think God put, there purposely because it was so traumatic. I'll never forget the innocence of, they had the head doll, that little Barbie doll. There was just a head, and all you did was comb their hair, curl their hair. Well, I remember my grandmother gave me a pair of her old pearls and told me that I could use, and one of her scarves, and said, use it for the baby doll. And I would do her hair up. It came with the curling irons to actually curl the hair. However, these curls, that wasn't hot, but I had a good one. And I remember sitting there now, play in this particular room, and I just remember him coming in, and whatever happened, I just remember waking up, feeling a certain way, and in just a slip. That was it, in my socks.
Wow.
And I remember the words, if you love me, you won't say nothing. And I remember that was the last time I have yet touched a head doll. I was going to go to school for cosmetology. For some reason, I could not make it through the first week because I had to touch a head doll.
Wow.
I still to this day have not touched another head doll to this day. I tell people that healing takes process over time, and I don't think anyone have a particular time that they fully get past everything. I think as life goes on, we heal a little bit more. We heal a little bit more. And I have totally forgiven him. I would love to see him and let him know. I want him to hear me verbally say, I forgive you. But if that never happens, Lord, I just I forgive him. I don't have any animosity against him because I knew that he was on drugs. And if it had not been for the drugs, I don't think that would have happened because he was very protective of me, very protective. So that was the only time I've ever seen him that high, and that's when it happened. Other than that, he was always.
So it was only that one time
that I can remember. Yeah, there was only that one time that I can. certain way, really like icky and hurting, and I just didn't understand why. And I remember I just feel like I just could not tell my parents. I didn't know how to tell them because, you know, I don't think that was something that we ever really had conversations about. So,
and I'm sure it was very confusing because he threw the word love in there, and it was conflicting with what you understand love to be, but still he threw the word love in there, and you're thinking, okay, if I love him, then I'm not going to tell anyone. So for a 6-year-old, that's very conflicting.
Right.
And, you know, contradictive to, it breached your understanding of what love is.
Right.
Yeah, so I can understand that. Yeah.
And I had a family member come and ask me.
Say, I got to take a quick break. So if you can, put a little bookmark right there. Everybody else out there in Radio Land, if you'll keep your cheeks in the seats, I'm going to be right back after this quick message. Hello, everybody. My name is Minister Annie Bell, and I am the host of I.R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show, where we endeavor to bring talk therapy to survivors of child abuse, sex trafficking, and other traumas, as well as being the vehicle by which we use to bring awareness and resources to the community to aid in the prevention of these abuses. I.R.E.I.G.N, which is a declarative acronym for the individual survivor. That means I identify myself as a survivor, no longer a victim. R, reclaim my life. E, excel at living. G, grow in Christ. And N, nurture myself and others. This declarative acronym has developed into a victorious lifestyle brand that empowers and aids in the healing journey of survivors of abuse, sex trafficking, and other traumas. I have also written a book entitled, with the namesake, I.R.E.I.G.N, A Survivor's Guide to Thrive, which is now available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. Pick up your copy of my book today and join me every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. here on We Inspire Network Radio, where together, through God, we win. If we endure, we will reign with Christ.
Welcome back to I.R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show with your host, Minister Annie Bell.
Like he said, welcome back to the I.R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show, powered by We Inspire Network Radio. I am your host, Minister Annie Bell. I do want to invite you all out to a movie premiere. You're hearing it straight from us. It's called Black Girls Die Too, The Backpage Murders. And it will premiere next Friday, January 27th, at the Morehouse College at 6 p.m. It's from 6 p.m. to 11:30. They're going to have a black carpet. They're just really going to, do this up. So if you want more information, just look on my Facebook page, and you will see the link to get your tickets and to be part of a phenomenal film that is shedding light on some of the murders that happened on Blackpage.com. Thank God that has been taken down, and we pray that it stays down. So tonight I have with me in the virtual studio Miss Harralyn Swinger Rawls, who is here to talk about her triumph. She's had some turbulence in her life, but there's something about getting back up and dusting off and thriving. So welcome back to the show, Harralyn. Can I call you Miss Lynn?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And we'll talk about your show in just a little bit. But now, we before the break, we talked about basically the sexual abuse that you encountered and all the the ways that it breached your understanding of what love is, and you stated that you didn't tell anybody till you were 30, which is wow. You carried that all by yourself. You also talked about being a victim of domestic violence, and so I want to take a moment to really understand that. How did you meet him, and what did it feel like and look like before the actual violence took place? And why I'm asking this is because so many women, our teenage girls, fall into a relationship and they stick and stay far longer than they should. And so when we have this candid conversation, it's so that we can help prevent and give some strength to those who may be going through it now or might be going through it later. So tell us a little bit about how that relationship began.
Well, I actually have had multiple abusers. It started, my first bout with domestic violence when I was 14 years old. I was dating a guy that lived in the area, and he wanted me to have sex with him. I tried it, and it did not feel good, and I said no. And he broke my nose.
Oh my God.
So that was my first bout with domestic violence, and he had me terrified and things like that, like they were going to do something to me. He ended up prosecuting and went to jail. After that, it was almost like it was a series of abusive relationships after another, one after another. I dated a lot of guys who were they were dope dealers, street hustlers, stuff like that. And a lot of them were, when I say very abusive, I mean very abusive. Most of my main relationships, actual boyfriend relationships, coming up probably from the age of, I say 15 to 20, in my early 20s or kind of 24, 25, were abusive. It seemed like, and I thought because I wasn't staying with them too long after it, that I was doing good. Oh, you do this to me, I'm out of here. But then I would go and find another guy basically the same way. So I was actually attracting something. So I was attracting what I guess I was looking for, because I was looking for love. My parents had divorced, and during their divorce, there was a lot of unanswered questions. I know I was loved. My parents never made me feel like I was not loved in that sense. But when you're used to having something there, and then all of a sudden, from nowhere, it's up and gone, because it wasn't alone. It wasn't a process. It was literally here today, and when I say literally going tomorrow, I mean literally. We're here today. It's here today, and tomorrow he's gone. And so, but even through the process, my parents were great. My parents were awesome. I had anger because I didn't understand it. So I was kind of angry at both of them, and then I was angry at life. I was angry at God. I didn't know who to be mad with, but then I wanted love. And so I was confused. So I was out there looking for love. And if a guy told me he loved me, going back to that abuse situation, if you love me, then sometimes I guess that means you hurt me. So I guess I equated that hurt with love.
Sure.
And then I had guys who would buy me whatever I wanted. Well, if they beat me up, then they take me on a shopping spree. And I'm not talking about little bitty shopping spree. I'm talking about with big top name brand stuff, taking me to the finest restaurants. But that's after you have abused me.
Right.
So I had a series of them. It was a cycle.
Yes.
And some of them were just a slap in the face here, or a push here, or a kick, this and that. It was like, as I went through abusers, it became worse. It was like I almost got worse. I would jump out the pen into the fire every time, and it would get worse. And to the point where my last abuser literally tried to take my life. He did everything he could to kill me, and he left me to die, thinking I was dead, but I was able to sneak out the house while he was back there. He literally thought I was laying on the couch dead. Oh, he had killed me. But so he back there trying to figure out whatever's going on. But in all reality, I was able to sneak out because his mind was gone. His mind, I don't know what.
God.
So, the abuse it didn't necessarily stop there. I felt like, okay, I'm okay. I got out of this relationship. I went right back to him.
Mm-hmm.
He got a job. Went back to him, and he burnt down my house with me in it. Thank God I was able to get out. He came to our house and burnt my house down. The first house he burnt down, me and him were living together, and he burnt the house down. Then dumb me went back to him again, and he burnt the house down. Me and him, I decided I was gonna break up with him. I was tired. He came to burn the house up. So I happened to be in the house getting some clothes for my children. They were going to spend at my mom's house. And the front part of the house was on fire. I was able to get out the back door. And so happened, a friend of mine was the one took me over there to the house. So I lost 2 houses within like 6 months of each other. Completely lost everything. The church helped me with the first fire. Everything they gave me, we lost in that fire due to him. So,
wow. And you mentioned church.
Man,
and so did you at any time run to the church for help?
I did.
Well, I mean, not to get your stuff back, but to say, hey,
right.
this man is beating me. Was he your husband at the time?
I went to, no, this one wasn't my husband. I went to the church many a time throughout all my abusive situations, even to the point where I had to usher one night and for night service, and I went there with sunglasses on. So I'm at night service. Hello, it's nighttime. It's dark.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So no one recognized that I'm standing here ushering with sunglasses on. No one think it's kind of weird. No one say, hey, are you okay? It was like,
are you high?
Like,
what's going on?
Yes. Right. No one put me aside, asked me anything. I did reach out to the church to ask for help. It was like the few of people I did reach out to, it was almost like, I don't know what to tell you. So I did not reach too far because I really felt, what was they going to do? If they didn't ask me a simple question, and the few of people that I felt like I could confide in, they looked at me like I was crazy, kept their children away from me. And so, yeah, it was pointless. I was almost the black sheep now, and then it got around that I was being abused. It did. So now I became the mock of the church. I became the talk of the church. I became that girl who those sisters in church don't want their kids around. I became her. I became the side-eye lady. What is she doing?
Kind of being shunned.
Right. And so I ended up getting married to my first husband. He was abusive. But he was more abusive to my children than he was to me. Well, this is going back to the church. And I understand when I'm saying this, I'm not dogging the church because guess what? If you don't know, then a lot of times you're going to make some crazy decisions. So it's important for the church to be educated. The church didn't know how to handle these situations. But I was told by someone in church, give up my children to make my marriage last. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, I'm not giving up my children. If he can't handle the children, he shouldn't have married a woman with children.
That's exactly
he was
right.
very abusive to my children. When I say very abusive, oh my gosh, he was crazy. And so it was weird because when he abused my son and my daughter, my instant thought was to kill him. My instant thought was to kill him. And it was almost like me and my mother's life have almost patterned each other because she had a very similar situation happen. Well, I always like my front door. Now, the way I have my doors is there's just 2 main doors. You have the main door and you have a porch. Close to the porch, you have another door. I never leave my doors open. Well, when he abused my son, he actually took my son and threw my son across the room. My son hit the ceiling, blood from the ceiling all the way down onto the bed, okay?
Jesus.
So my son had to have these surgeries on his mouth. Well, my first reaction was I'm going to kill him. So I went downstairs to get a butcher knife. I'm headed back upstairs. As I'm headed back upstairs, my mother's walking in my house. She doesn't have a key to my house. So how is she in my house? That was just by the grace of God. Because she said he ain't worth it. He's not worth it.
Wow.
So, yeah, I've had 10 to 12 year span of nothing but abuse, sexual abuse, just psychotic. And I was like, I was a magnet to these guys. I was drawing them. That's all I wanted was these, I guess, thuggish type of guys.
Well,
So,
I want to interject something that there is something called multi-victimization or being re-victimized. And when there is unresolved abuse, what happens to the psyche of the person is that there's a sense in us, and I'm a survivor as well of child sexual abuse, but there's a sense in us that when there is danger or crisis, we begin to feel a sense of helplessness. And so we become more vulnerable. And so there is a deep and important reason that we must heal from past hurts so that we can recover and to be able to kind of be up to par, if you want to say, so that we're not constantly operating within that unhealthy coping mechanism, which, you know, which we all, those who have survived, we all have coping mechanisms, whether it's to some it's addiction, to others it's, for me, it was control. I have to have everything. I have to control everything within my realm. Don't tell me what to do. I don't care if you're my boss, but you need to come and ask me nicely. You know, I became more of a fighter. And so, you know, I got into a lot of trouble. It wasn't until I almost went to jail for threatening to kill somebody, to shoot them, that, you know, I woke up because they were like, okay, you know, this is federal because you were on the federal lines. I was on a phone call threatening to kill somebody. But that's what happens. So, again, it's so important that we heal from past hurts so that we can no longer be set up for multi-victimization. And also,
it's funny that you say that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I had my husband that I'm with now. First of all, when I first met him, well, I can't say when I first met him. I've known him all my life, but I did not want to date him. I'm like, no. But when we got together, his thing was, your heart is so, you have a wall so tall around your heart, I can't get in. And so my attitude was, you're going to beat me, you're going to do this. So I was automatically defensive. If he said, Harralyn too loud, I'm thinking, oh, you finna hit me. So now I'm like, okay, what you want to do? I'm ready to fight. So I'm like, what you going to do? So then I became verbally abusive. See, remember, hurt people hurt people. Hurt
people, that's right. That's right.
So I became that mouthy, and then when I said some stuff that I'm like, wow, this man's still with me. Oh, wow, Harralyn, your mouth can kill. And when I said some stuff to him, and one day he took me outside. He took me to the park and sat me down and just grabbed me. And he said, I am not going to hit you. You're going to stop taking your anger out on me for these other men. He said, so today's the day that I'm going to let you release all your anger and hatred for whoever done to you. The man who molested you, the men who raped you, all the stuff. Take it out on me right here in the park. Right here in the park. Do whatever you want to do. If you want to slap me, if you want to spit on me, you want to kick me, scream at me, whatever you want to do. He said, because I cannot love you the way you need to be loved, and I want to love you with this wall. And I want to love you past your pain. And I just got to screaming and cussing and fighting. And I said, Lord, I don't know if I'm going to heaven or hell, because I was just going crazy. And he grabbed me. And he said, this is what love feels like. And he held me for about 30 minutes and just prayed with me. And he said, we are going to get through this together. Not you going to get through this. We.
Amen. Story. Thank God for husbands that God has sent who are, because same thing, you know, I have been divorced twice because I just didn't take any crap. You know, I just didn't. And my third husband, who I am with now, we've been married for going on 13 years. And that is nothing but God, because my last two marriages, one lasted 6 months and the other one lasted a year. And so God knows who we need, and thank God for the husbands that he sends to us. The other thing that, talking about multi-victimization, there's a spiritual aspect to it as well, because when there is that type of violation, there is also a transferring of spirit. And those who, might feel like, oh, she's about to talk about some mumbo-jumbo stuff. I'm not. It is biblical. And so spirits can recognize spirits, and the predators know how to recognize those who have been abused. And so, again, yet another reason that we have to heal from the inside out, and spiritually as well. We have to heal. There is also a statistic out through the ACE report that says anyone that has unresolved childhood abuse, 20 years of their lifespan is decreased. So if a person is supposed to, supposedly live till 80, they will, cut it down to 60 if it's not healed, if there's no recovery. And so that's why on this show we talk so much about healing and recovering and talking about it, because when you heal, and like you said earlier, it's progressive. You're not going to, it's not like a wound that just completely heals and it's gone. There is progressive. We have to kind of walk through it, tend to it, and things of that sort that doesn't get reinfected. So it's very, very important to get that healing, to start it. And talk therapy, the moment you begin to talk about it in a nurturing environment where somebody is loving and nurturing, that it initiates the healing process immediately. And so, and so that's why, again, we do the talk therapy through our radio show. And even those who are guests on our show, who are survivors, they go to another level of healing just by sharing in a platform like this. And so,
I was about to say that. I was about to say that. I find myself, the more I speak, the more I heal. And I find myself healing from things that I thought I was already healed from. But I find myself having a better understanding. And I remember a young lady asked me, do you ever get tired of telling your story? I said, no. I said, my story does not change, but my understanding changes. And my level of confidence changes. I said, the story stays the same. I said, but how I tell my story changes. Because when I was first telling my story, I was in tears. It was broken up. It was little pieces here. I was so all over the place that no one knew, okay, what is she talking about? So was she abused, or was she eat a hamburger today, or did she have a weave on, or is her shoes red? Because I did not know how to tell it without feeling I had to tell every detail of it. So then as time go on, I learned I'm healing. And so my delivery changes. And then my confidence changes. Then I'm like, wow. So now I'm telling the story, but now I'm able to show my healing in the story. Now I'm able to tell somebody else going down. Now this is what happened with me. So trust me, it can happen with you. I couldn't tell that before. I was a lot of people get up here, and I would tell people, a lot of advocates, they're great advocates, but a lot of us start off as pity parties. I started off as a pity party advocate. I wanted to tell my story, and it was pity. It was pity me. It's pity me. But I was healing. I was hurt.
That's right.
I had to get it out.
Amen.
So
Amen. Now, what type of effects, since we're talking about survival responses, what type of survival responses or coping mechanisms did you see within yourself in order to have survived, through those abuses?
I will say that being raised up in a Christian home really made a huge difference. Because when I tell you my parents were clockwise, every Saturday morning we have devotional service, go to church for Sunshine Band, all this stuff, those kind of rituals instilled a certain level of faith in me that I didn't even know I had. I can remember times I was being abused. I can remember hearing God say, I got you. You okay? I got you. I got you. You're okay. You're okay. And I'm like, why? I'm not okay. Who is failing me? But I'm like, I'm not at peace, really. But as I grew, I'm like, that was God telling me I'm right here with you the whole time. So I learned what helped me through my battle was my mother came to me one day, and she said, Harralyn, I'm tired of you. I know you've been through a lot. This crying is good, but it ain't helping you because you're pitying yourself now. My mother handed me a book, and she said, I want you to write it. She said, for a whole year or for a while, don't tell nobody about your story for a minute. Write whatever you need to write, how you felt. And that's between you and the Lord, what you write. I started journaling. My mother is a huge journaler. My mother has written books that she ain't never published. Never. My mother's a huge writer. I mean, one letter from my mother, like 18 pages. Okay, so yeah. One letter to tell you that you're making a bad choice is, we call it a choices letter. It's 18 pages. So she gave me this journal. And when I tell you, now I might need your help with the therapy part of the journaling because I'm addicted to journaling. But it's if my husband say, baby, if you can't buy another journal, I literally have about 40 journals.
Wow.
And and every one of them have a certain meaning. Every one of them have a certain purpose. But journaling saved my life because I was able to be transparent on that paper. I was able to say exactly how I felt with no repercussions, no hurt feelings. I was able to be truthful with how I felt. It was my truth that I was living. And journaling that, and then living in Michigan during the time, everybody knows Michigan is surrounded by water. So my mother said, go find you somewhere peaceful. There's a place called Renaissance Center in Michigan. And anybody who have been there know that they have these levels, and the higher up you go, there's couches sitting right in the middle of the floor. And you got your own private space almost. I would go up to the top floor and sit there and look over the water and just relax. Where I go sit out in the water, and I would just let the Lord, I'm like, Lord, you got to speak to me. You got to do something because I'm ready to die. I tried to commit suicide. Then I started looking into, a friend told me about citrus therapy. I've never heard citrus therapy until she told me about it. When you get stressed out, eating a piece of citrus fruit and how it would help me. So when I would get depressed, I would eat an orange. Sorry. I don't know what it did, but it actually helped calm my body. Citrus therapy. I've never heard of it.
I'll have to look that up. I've never heard of that.
And even to this day, when I'm having an anxiety attack, if I have one, because I don't lie to anybody, I'm not perfect. I have health issues, so yeah, I end up with depression sometimes. I have anxiety attacks every now and then, or I might have a stressful week, and I just need to relax. I give me an orange, and it's something that the citrus does to the body. I don't know what it does, but it's so soothing. So between the journaling, the water, and that's what I miss here in Georgia. I don't have that.
I know. I'm from Virginia, Georgia, and I'm used to all that ocean water.
Oh, my gosh. It's crazy. So since I've been here, I found myself writing more. And I found myself even to the point where I just I've learned to enjoy God's greatness, His beauty, the outside, whatever it is, and try to find some type of meaning of life, something, because I tell anybody, you can get a sermon or some kind of message out of anything you look at God's creation.
That's right.
But that's what helped me. I had to find a simple thing in life, and my children, oh my God, my daughter would come to me and say, Mama, let me just play with your hair, and I just want you to rest, Mama. And she would cook. My daughter was 8 years old cooking dinner.
Wow.
My daughter was 8 years old cleaning the house, doing laundry. This is my 8-year-old daughter. And I'm like, I come home from work, and she has dinner cooked. And they talk about no little chicken fingers. My daughter had them baked some chicken, macaroni, all this stuff, for dinner. Made my lunch for the next day, did the laundry, cleaned the house. 8 years old, because I didn't have a babysitter. So thankful I had a good neighbor who would watch over this till I got home. But my children were my relief. They were such a help. And then my husband, I mean, he would sit there and listen to me. He would cry, and he would just hold me. He said, babe, just lay it out. And I'm like, babe, I feel like it was tearing him apart because the reality was I could not be the wife I needed to be to him because I was hurt and I'm broken. I'm gone. So
now, I need you to put another pin in there because I skipped the other break, but I need to take this one. When we come back, I do want to hear how your abusive relationship got you into the sex trafficking. So everybody, please stay put. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Have you priced commercials lately? Advertising can truly break your budget. At I.R.E.I.G.N, we eliminate the most common hurdle to advertising. Advertise with I.R.E.I.G.N to reach potential customers locally, nationally, and internationally for as low as $150. Yes, that's right, $150 per commercial. We Inspire Network Radio is a new and rapidly growing online radio network that boasts of dynamic seasoned show hosts who are drawing audiences from across the nation and abroad. Africa, Australia, Scotland, Canada, just to name a few. We also have the technical capabilities to advertise your products and services through sound bites, slideshows, and more. No long-term contracts. You pay per show. Advertise on I.R.E.I.G.N and you are sure to be a winner. For more information, call us 201-477-0469. Email Annie Bell at wealthmanagement-fs.org.
Welcome back to I.R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show with your host, Minister Annie Bell.
Thank you for staying with us. Again, you're listening to I.R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show, and I'm your host, Minister Annie Bell. I do want to issue a trigger warning for survivors who are listening in tonight. If it's urgent to speak with someone immediately, you can call the National Sexual Hotline or call Polaris, the hotline. It's 1-888-373-7888. Again, 1-888-373-7888. You don't have to suffer by yourself. Reach out to me on Facebook, inbox me, connect with us so that we can help you. We also have prayer every Thursday night at 9:30, and the number for that is 530-881-1212. Access number 225-184-078. If you look down at our at the slideshow, then you will see our JPEG on that as well, so you can get the information. We are back with Miss Lynn, and she is about to tell us how one of her relationships turned into a sex trafficking situation for her. Miss Lynn, thank you so much for staying with us.
Yes. Actually, I was dating a guy, and he had got me into being a exotic dancer. And from there, he would tell me, he said, I want you to go to this party or whatever. But I did not know that the party was, these guys had paid for me, and I wasn't aware of it. So that was the first part of it. That was the first incident of it. And then they would lock me into these rooms. I was locked in, so I was drugged, I was beat, I was raped. They would even leave. They would go to the point of even leaving receipts just to show me how many men it was. And when I tell you, it was trained of men. I remember a friend of mine at the phone time I had a beeper. And oh my God, that's ancient time, but I had a beeper. And
I'm like, what's that? I'm just joking.
Right, you know what? Don't do it. So I remember her paging me, and she could not get me, but she knew that I was going to this party at this big hotel. Well, when she found out the men who were there, she knew that these guys were into sex trafficking. I didn't even know this. So she immediately got a crew of the girls together. They came down there. And she told me, she asked me to take a picture of the guys coming out because they were standing behind the wall. And she said, Harralyn, when I finally was able to come to, she said it had to be 40 guys or better coming out of that room.
Jesus.
I did not know what happened. I was beat. I was raped. So that was the first time. Then I got with this one guy. He wanted to be my friend. And he, he's like, oh, my gosh, I'm going to make you a model. So he took us over to Canada. Me and some friends went over to Canada. And I came back, I became the secretary. Well, we went back over to Canada. He gave me this beautiful bracelet. Oh, my God. So all the girls that he had over there had these beautiful bracelets. But he was asking us to go on these weird dates. And I'm like, okay. So, again, you're drugged. Now I'm in Canada, and I'm drugged. I have no way to get home. I don't know where I am. Did not know I was even being sold. I'm literally being sold. The bracelet was a SKU number. So the bracelet was actually a tag. The bracelet was to tell the guys that I am available. I am a trafficker. I am for sale. And on the other side of the bracelet, the numbers at the end told them how much I was sold for.
Oh, my God.
So I'm thinking, oh, my God. So because I'm used to these guys buying me Coach, all gas and all this stuff. So I know they have serial numbers in it. I think it's some kind of name brand bracelet with serial number. So I'm not thinking about the SKU number. I was 18.
Oh my God.
Now, mind you, I had children. No, I was 19 because I already had my son. So I was 19 or 20. I was pretty young. But I remember someone asking me in the store, "Are you trafficked?" And I'm like, "Traffic?" And so I got mad. I'm like, "You trying to call me a prostitute?" This and that. She said, "Ma'am." She said, "This man is selling you. This man ain't selling me." Now I'm high. I remember the conversation, but I remember being high. And I remember him taking us back to, no, he didn't take us back. This, somebody we knew, one of my sister's friends saw me over there and got me back home. Well, then I remember later on, a couple weeks later, he came pick me up. Again, I'm drugged again. Now I'm at some hotel way across town. I didn't even remember. I still can't tell you today how I got there. But again, I was sold to a bunch of men. Yet again. So I'm like, okay, this time when I wake up, the maid came knocking at the door telling me, it's checkout time, they gone. And she said, "Ma'am, do you know what that bracelet is?" And I said, "No." She said, "You are in a sex trafficking ring." I said, "No." She said, "Ma'am, look at she showed me the news article about this company, these guys. So I'm like, wow. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. I'm like, okay, are they going to come after me? So I had these men stalking my house. They knew where my mom lived. They knew where my sister lived, everybody. So these people are stalking my house. And I did not know I didn't even know what sex trafficking was. And still did not know until maybe the mid-2000s. And the more I learned about it, I'm like, wow. So I was brainwashed. And then I found myself a lot of time waking up in somebody's basement. When I go to walk out the door, it's like prison bars. I can't get out. So me and four other girls is laying in this man's basement, but we can't get out. We're locked here. But these are police officers that we're dating.
These are police officers?
These are police officers that we're dating. One of them one of the guys was a senator, and I definitely won't ever mention his name. I'm not gonna do that. But he wasn't a senator. He was the assistant to the senator. But yeah, these are police officers. These are big wig men. One of them was worked with the commissioner's office. So these were not.
And that makes it even more scary for the victims, because they're thinking, okay, I can never get out. Who am I supposed to trust? And the other thing that I, wanted to make sure that we say to the audience, parents, children, if there's anyone listening, that you need to, parents, first of all, we need to love on our children, and that that's the first defense against sex trafficking. We have to be the ones that give them the pure love, the agape love, We are God's ambassadors. We to our children, we represent the Heavenly Father. And so we have to show that. And secondly, because otherwise they will not be able to understand the type of love that these pimps and traffickers are saying. Right. Because a lot of times they're not snatching kids off the street. A lot of the times they are manipulating and using words like "I love you," "Oh, you're so beautiful," and the things that they need to hear. So be the one to say the things that they need to hear. And number two, be very vigilant when you start seeing your children getting, blinged out and coach this and Judy Berg that. We need to kind of understand what's going on there. We only have a few more minutes, and I fault myself. I should have given you 2 hours, Miss Lynn, because your life story is truly, oh my gosh, for you to survive that is just, again, surpasses my understanding. But what I want to ask you is, what would you say to if you know of a young person who is being victimized, or somebody who's in a domestic violent relationship, or a victim of sex trafficking, what can you say to them that they can hold on to until their rescue or their escape comes?
I would say, first of all, put a song in your heart. Place a song in your heart, because that is your inner peace for that moment. And understand that I know you're in a situation, but please understand that silence never heals anything. Nothing gets healed from silence. And that understand that you are loved. We are here for you. You have a large pool of advocates that are waiting with open arms to just love on you and to help you through it. You are not alone. So please understand. Don't, and I tell people, a lot of people go against this, don't fight them. Don't do it. Try to block it, but don't try to fight back all the time, because a lot of times you put yourself in a worse situation. You want to do anything you can to try to get them to calm down. You don't want to agitate the abuser. You want to get them calm down so you can get away. But
you want to be strategic.
Yes, and I urge every woman, I don't care if you're married and have the man of your dreams, I urge even men to have a safety plan.
Yes.
Because nobody wakes up and somebody say, "Oh, I'm gonna be with you. I know you're gonna beat me." Nobody. But have a safety plan, and I do safety planning, for free. But please understand that you are loved beyond measure. God loves you. We love you, and we are here for you. You are not alone.
Amen. And how can people, our listeners, get in touch with you?
I am on social media. Unfortunately, I am not good with Twitter or Instagram. I'm going to get better with Instagram. But I'm on Facebook, Harralyn Swinger Rawls. Harralyn PrazeiswhatIdo Rawls. I do have a page, Miss Lynn, and you can reach me by email. I'm going to give you the main email, which is saved, SAVED, .fco@gmail.com.
60 seconds.
Amen.
421-5044.
And I'm sorry, can you say that number one more time?
770-421-5044.
Miss Lynn, I appreciate you so much, and I thank God that you are a survivor and that you are helping others to survive as well. Thank you so much for being on the show with us this evening.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Now the time for the wisdom to reign. You can't outrun your pain. Stop, confront, and heal. I do also want to make another quick, word of advice. We talked about the church and how the church may not have been an area for Harralyn to go to. But what we want to urge every church is that you get the training, because sometimes staying and praying about it and staying is not the way to stop a man who is abusive. So please get some training as a church on how to handle abusive situation, whether it's child abuse, sex trafficking, or domestic violence. Let's get the training that we need, and then we can use the power that Christ has given us to save more people. To make donations and to get in touch with me or my team, please go to www.wealthmngt.org or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at I.R.E.I.G.N, Stop Abuse and Abolish Sex Trafficking. You can also follow us on YouTube channel at I.R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio. And become a subscriber so that you won't miss any of our shows. So everybody, repeat after me. I reclaim my life. I excel at living. I illuminate the dark. I grow in Christ, and I nurture myself and others. Let's reign together with Christ. See you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. God bless you, and I love you bunches.
The hurt, the guilt, the stain. I'm more than a conqueror. I'm more than a victim. I fight, I win. The chains are broken. I reign, you reign, we reign, he reigns. I reign, we reign together, together.